The only thing new in this world is the history you do not know yet. Well, hello everyone. This is Pooja Singh. Welcome to another session at Vajiram and Ravi. We are back with another discussion today. What we are going to discuss today, that why you should choose history as your optional subject. I know you must be having like a lot of doubts. You must be having a lot of myths that you need to be clarified. And we have not just one, but lot of esteemed faculty with us today, and we like to call sir in the frame. Tariq sir.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. I'm Mohammad Tariq, and in the next few minutes, we are going to discuss along with my colleague, Mr. Chandrabhan Saab, as well as PD Saab, in the chapters which you have to understand of your civil services preparation, that why you have to choose a particular optional, say here, history. All subjects are good. Students would make their own choice, and ideally they should make their own choice. Whichever subject is interesting to you, you should choose. That is the first point. But history has obviously certain advantage since British period and even after independence. The first advantage of history is that out of 500 marks allocated for optional, one can score from 260 to 310 with little efforts and with the help of the faculty members, some test series here at Vajiram. And that would decide not only selection but also rank. And many students in the past, including rank number 1 and 3 and 9 and 16 in last few years, were our students who had taken history as an optional paper. Second important part is that GS paper 1, paper 2, paper 3, paper 4. History is one subject which is reflected in all these papers. In paper 1, as you know, that part would be ancient, medieval, modern, world history, as well as culture, but also part social issues. Now, the social issues is very much taken from history, like the women issue, like the labor issue, like the tribal issues, like communalism, secularism. This is all essential part of history. In paper 2, you would learn about constitution, the making of constitution. You would learn about the basic structure. You would learn about 1919, 1935 Act. All are already taught in history, so obviously it would help. In paper 3, you would learn about land reforms. You would learn about post-independent India's various policies. Obviously, it is part in paper 3. In paper 4, you have thinkers, you have various philosophers, right from Mahatma Buddha to Mahavir, to Vivekanand, to Mahatma Gandhi, to Tagore, and they have already asked questions from these segments in paper 4 last year also. That is what how GS 1 to 4 history optional is going to help. Another area where it is going to help immensely is essay. At least one essay a student of history optional can write without any extra preparation. Sometime, if your luck favor, you can write two essays. Now, how history and essay is connected? History talks about issues of human being, right from ancient to modern world, and essay is based on those issues plus your own thought, how you reflect those issues. This is why the history optional student often score very good in essay paper. History helps in your personality test, which is called interview, and at least 10% to 30% part of your interview is covered by historical factors, personalities, freedom struggle, post independent India, world issues, international issues. A student of history answer much better with much depth on those issues during interview. History helps in your prelims a lot. At least 18 to 22 questions in the last 20 years came from general studies, came from history. So a student who has taken history as an optional do not have to worry about this portion, and that would be rock solid for each of you. Then history helps in answer writing because your language, your expression, your idioms, and your own phrases, as well as some poetic lines you can catch from history lectures, history books, and that would impact your overall general studies essay as well as history optional. History would help in developing your intellectual depth. IAS exam at certain level belongs to those who can think deeper and wider. All the rankers, top 50, top 100, top 200 students must be different from the crowd. And since history would bring depth, as you're going to read socialist, political scientists, you're going to read economists, you're going to read thinkers, obviously this would enlighten you, and many of your own thoughts may match with those thoughts, many would not. In the process you would become much wiser person. And when a question is asked, critically examine, do you agree, what do you suggest, etc., then you would find that how history had helped not only in optional but in GS and essay and in interview. Now, these are those advantages. There are certain myth which, as she rightly said, we have to correct, that it is very lengthy. All subjects in UPSC is by and large of equal size except literature. Second, history is not scoring. This is also myth. Our students, right from rank 1 to 3 to 9, as I told, in the last few years, are from history background. So it's actually the students who make the subject scoring or not scoring, not the subject itself. Third, that history is boring. I'm sure once you attend here at Vajiram with four of us, you would realize it is the most interesting subject on this planet. And I'm not just saying casually, because it would talk about polity, economy, society, culture, thinkers, and these are all topics which is affecting our life. You can connect history with the democracy, elections in India, with the development, with the model development, with the ongoing conflicts in many countries, immigration issues. These are all related. And of course, I will suggest, and we will suggest some of the other books other than the regular books, and some movies and some teleseries which would help in developing a thought related to history. So it would never be boring, rather the most interesting subject. Now, these are those points which we wanted to share with you. So let's take some question, if I can. Who all will be teaching? I myself would take modern history. My colleague, he is just joining, Mr. Chandrabhan Singh, would take world history. My other two extreme colleagues, Mr. P.D. Singh would take ancient history, and another Mr. Rohan Srivastava would take medieval history. So we have a very good team of four areas, four faculty. Each one has worked in their own areas with their own materials, with their own notes, with their own lectures. So you would never be short of ideas and material in our classes. Okay, any other question if you have? I think by and large, other than that question, mostly I have handled. So I would request my colleague, Mr. Chandrabhan, to shed some light, and then we can also take some classes together. As far as the book is concerned, definitely we will tell those books. But right now, you can go through NCRT of 11th and 12th. There is a book called Oxford Dictionary of World History. There's a book called Modern India by Bipan Chandra. And more than that, I don't suggest. And of course, we will discuss in my classes, our classes also, right? That's very good. Manomi has already decided. So those who have not yet decided, please decide as early as possible, because we are going to start from June 20th, this next batch. And we want to see you in the classroom, if not possible through online, because in online also we will interact regularly on daily basis with the test series, right? And all the topics of history, as somebody is asking, would be answered. Yes, if you have done NCRT, it's okay, but NCRT is not the end, it's just a beginning. Okay, so please join Chandraban sir and just share some of your thought. Thank you very much. Please come. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'll be taking modern world history, and modern world history, apart from GS paper one, also has a deep connection with IR. When we talk about the history of modern world, especially we'll be starting with European history. There is a definitely a degree of Eurocentrism, a Eurocentric bias is there, and to a large extent, European countries, a number of European countries have shaped the history of the modern world. So we will start with European history, then we will go to America. We will be discussing some of the Asian giants also, because Indian history is separately a part of modern India. So we'll be focusing upon Southeast Asia, China, Japan. Now, before we go into the questions about the strategy, I want you to have a understanding or a flair of what are the various approaches in which modern world history can be prepared. Means any event or any incident has a historical potential, and what are the ways in which, or what are the determinants which shape any event or any development. So when we talk about the study of modern world history, the history of the modern world from 16th century, I want you to understand that how the syllabus flows. Not exactly the discussion of the syllabus, but what are the different ways or what are the different factors which has shaped the events across the world, and then you will understand that how history can be so interesting. So if I ask you that there are two countries, say one is America and another is Mexico, or say you pick just two countries which are neighbors, and I ask you that what explains for the economic disparity between the two. Why is it that America is so developed? Why is it that democratic principles or democratic values are so much ingrained in among Americans, whereas it is more of an exception in the case of Mexicans? So what do you think is the most important thing that has shaped or that has led to the emergence of certain modern states as powerful states, and which could not happen in the case of others? So you can take a guess. You can start with, what do you think is more important? Is it politics, or is it the political dimension? One. Is it economic factors? Is it cultural factors? Cultural or religious, you can put here. Or is it geographical factors? Let us enter into an intellectual discourse to understand, and then we will understand that what should be the right way to prepare history optional. Especially I'll be talking about modern world. So what do you think can be a factor which determines the fate of a nation? Is it the political dimension, or is it the economic dimension? Because if we go by Karl Marx had given the theory of economic determinism, or Marxists have given a greater weightage to economic values over political, cultural, or say geographical factors. So what do you think? I would say, because I think you are taking some time, so I would answer, it is a combination of all of them, all these factors. And in history optional, you will be reading the various thinkers and various ways in which these factors have helped in the rise and fall of nations. So starting with geography, in what ways do you think geography determines the foreign policy, or geography has determined the psychology of civilizations in the history of mankind? In fact, I would quote here a famous author, Robert Kaplan. Robert Kaplan, in his book, The Revenge of Geography, has given very useful insights into why Russia remains an insecure civilization, why India, or what is the geographical dilemma of Indians, what has contributed to the rise of Britain despite being an island state, and what also explains the backwardness of the Africans on geographical ground. So let us try to understand that how geography can shape it, or how geography can shape the fate of a nation. As far as the questions, how many months it is going to take, will answer to it. But let us first understand this, because I want you to have a feel of the modern world history, and then maybe we can go ahead with the questions. So if you talk about geography, then we find that a number of geographical factors, such as having access to sea, is one of the determinants which has shaped the rise and fall of powers. If you see the history, modern world history syllabus, right from Renaissance to the fall or disintegration of USSR, then you would see that trade and commerce and access to coasts have played a very, very important role in the rise of certain Western European states who were able to take advantage of the trade across Atlantic Ocean. So that is why we see countries like France, countries like Netherlands, Spain, Portugal, and England were the ones who were to emerge as the earliest colonial powers. Geography plays an important role. And it is because of this reason that one of the problems with Russia is that despite having a vast territory, it does not have an access to warm waters. So one of the determinants of Russia's foreign policy is warm water diplomacy, that you will say being played out during the Eastern question we will discuss, and also during the conflict with Britain, that is the Great Game. So geographical factors do play a very important role. In fact, we will try to assimilate our knowledge of history, politics, and geography, and then we will be able to write good answers. So it is very important. Now the approach also has to change. Another is the political dimension. To what extent do you think political dimension or political factors play a role in the rise and fall of powers? Don't you think that Britain and France, who were competitors, we will discuss. We are going to discuss the history of a number of states, and in that we will see that two competitors will emerge in modern Europe. They are Britain and France. In many ways, geographically, France was blessed, having a larger agricultural area, having a much better climate, having a larger coastline. But again, what held the French back was its political factors. You will again read in modern India. We will see that many times your knowledge of modern India and modern world will overlap. We will see that the French Revolution and the political problems associated during the Napoleonic Wars held French back, whereas the British were able to move from absolute monarchy to constitutional monarchy, and then industrial revolution happened and they were able to surge ahead. So political factors plays a very important role. Again, we will quote a very famous book by James Robinson, Why Nation States Fail, say that geography does not play a very important role. If geography would have played an important role, Japan would have not emerged as an Asian superpower, because Japan does not have much geographical backing or geographical resources. So we will see that political dimensions also there. And when you read modern world history, as Tariq sir said, we will be analyzing the history of modern world not only from the point of view of events, but also from the point of view of ideologies and philosophies. So what makes this area interesting and also of much value is that we will be studying the rise of a number of ideologies, whether it is liberalism, rise of nationalism, what are the various debates around nationalism. We will see numerous revolutions and counter-revolutions. We will see the rise of humanism, individualism. And in history, especially in modern world, you will get acquainted and you will be analyzing the context in which we see the rise of Karl Marx to Francis Fukuyama. We will understand the birth of socialism in Europe and how it influenced the socialism in India. How Nehruvian socialism was influenced by Lenin's socialism, and how Maoism, though influenced by Stalinism and Leninism, was still different. Why did communism as a model contribute to the decline of USSR, whereas communism survives and still is doing pretty well in China? So history, modern world history, can be studied also from the point of view of political ideologies and philosophy. In fact, when we talk about politics, there is another very interesting approach in which modern world history can be studied, and that is by analyzing the changing balance of power. So again, you can read, or we will discuss in class. So one thing that you get when you join classroom program is that you don't have to read multiple books. You will get the application of ideas and principles elucidated in these books in our classes. So you will be able to not only cover the syllabus, but we will be integrating the books. So for example, I was talking about the balance of power. So again, we will take reference from a very famous book, The World Order by Henry Kissinger. We will understand that how the concept of balance of power. So here you will see that there is a lot of correlation between political science, IR, and modern world history. So studying of modern world history will give you a political perspective, a historical understanding of so many things that you see in the present day world. Why the Iran-Israel dispute has its history so many centuries back, and why the Israel-Palestine dispute remains unresolved. Who is to be blamed for that? What is the future of Russia, China, Pakistan nexus? So all these things you study when you focus on the political dimensions of modern world. Now there is something called as economic dimension also. So we will see the rise of modern capitalism. Max Weber has written that after God, the entity that we have worshipped the most is money. But then how the use of money or the approach towards money has changed from the ancient and medieval times, when people used to focus on hoarding or spending money, rather than now when we are more towards investment and towards profit maximization. We will study again a number of economic thinkers or the application of their ideas, right from mercantilism to finance capitalism to neoliberalism. Again, you read in your IR the threat to neoliberalism in the present time. So we will understand this also. And then again, cultural aspect, very interesting. So in paper 1, you read about Indian culture, Indian society. In paper 2, you read, especially in modern world history, you read about European society, European culture. Often in early medieval, you come across a question, comparison of Indian feudalism with European feudalism. Or why in India, the institution of slavery was not as exploitative as it was in the West. So we have studies. We have the studies of, say, Harivansh Mukhia. So we will understand the cultural aspect also, or what role does religion play in the rise or fall of a state. We again go by some of the very famous theories, like the theory of Max Weber, who had said that Protestant states have a better work ethic. But again, this also has been disputed. So what is the beauty of social science? As Tariq sir was also saying, that in social science, you do not have a unilateral approach, or you do not just read any topic from one point of view. You always are in that gray zone. So if Max Weber is right when he says that Protestant economies like Germany, like Britain, like America are going to do better than the Catholic, when he blames that India, especially Hinduism, was also responsible for the laggard growth of capitalism, there is a counter argument for that. And that makes history optional very interesting, because you will be getting into that habit of historical debates. When you read post-independent India, when sir will be teaching Green Revolution, we will be comparing with the agricultural revolution that happened in Britain. So this was just a synoptic view of what is going to be our approach, and definitely we'll be covering history from the point of view of a number of wars, especially the World War I, World War II, and Cold Wars. So for now, I would not get into the depth of the syllabus. I just wanted you to have a feel that this syllabus, modern world history, is not about just studying events in isolation, but everything is organically linked. In fact, you will find that there is a lot of overlap between modern India and modern world. We will be understanding how the American Revolution and the British policies in India had a link, how the decline of Ghadar movement and the America's participation in World War had a common link, Zimmermann plan. And then what was the inspiration that the Indians drew from the nationalism across the West, especially Irish nationalism, Italian nationalism. So again, this is a way by which we'll be covering the syllabus, so that even if you are reading the class notes, you get a complete holistic approach. And I can assure you that in modern world, modern India, we will be covering so many ideologies and philosophies that at times you may wonder that whether we know more than our friends in sociology or political science, because we'll be covering history is the mother of all the optional subjects. So we will get into the multidimensional. So I think I'll take up some questions with sir now, and then as and when need arises, we can go into the detail. Sir, please.
Thank you, Chandraban. So you all are welcome now to ask question. Can you just raise this? Please come in the frame.
Sure,
No,
sure,
no, please
sure.
come in the frame. Yeah. So
How much time did optional take course will take to complete? So that's a question from their part.
5 months.
5 months, yes. We'll complete it in 5 months along with all the class notes and your printed material. And we also have a weekly tests. So we have tests,
Yes.
periodic tests, so that you get into that habit of answer writing, which is checked by the faculties. So we ensure Tariq sir and all of us, we do a one-to-one session.
In fact, in test, we will have two type of tests. One we will give you on the spot in the class after telling the topic, and one you can bring your own notes, you can bring your own answers, and we all would evaluate as we
Yes.
did with your seniors. Amandeep is writing, I don't have history optional, but I want to take this course. Will it be helpful? When if you don't have taken history as an optional, this actually is only for optional. So I think it's a waste of your money as well as your time. You focus on a general studies history, and that of course would enlighten you. You can use the same money and time.
No, I
for
think
your
he's
other
asking that
optional.
he wants to take or switch to history as an optional, sir. He wants to say this, Amandeep.
Okay, no, if you
That
switch,
he wants to
of
switch.
course.
Yes,
So
yes.
switch, of course, you are welcome. I thought okay, he has some other optional
No, no.
paper. No,
So
of
you have
course.
still time, because
Yeah.
many toppers have switched their optional and have got ranked, because taking an optional, the most important factor is your
Obviously.
interest.
That's what we are here to clear your doubt that if you have some other optional in your mind in the past, for whatever reason you are not taking that, about history you can be very much dead sure that it is a scoring, it is very interesting, and you are going to get all type of supports from Vajiram faculty in the next 5.5 months, right?
I'm confused between sociology and history. So, sir, please answer. Then I'll.
You have to take a call from yourself. As I know, there are some tough choices when you choose between the two subjects. So history has its own merit, sociology has its own merit. This is something you have to decide. If you ask me personally, I would ask you to read 2 chapters of sociology, 2 chapters of history, whichever chapters create some interest in you from NCRT or any other standard book, you go for that subject. Do not listen anyone else. Listen your mind.
See, often the doubt is there that history as an optional is very lengthy. But let me clarify that even if you don't take history as an optional, you will have to dedicate 2.5 to 3 months for your GS. And given the type of questions that are coming in prelims examination, I would come to the mains later. The type of questions that are coming in prelims examination, you need a certain degree of depth and expertise to get 80 to 90% of the questions right, which now is not possible by just having a tangential or a GS NCRT based approach. So anyways, you are going to prepare history for your GS. So when you take history as an optional, so actually you end up saving some time. You will be in 5 months having such a depth that if you utilize this depth and understanding, then you do not have to do anything extra for your GS.
Yeah, and one of my colleague faculty has also
Praveen
arrived,
sir has
and
come.
Mr. P.T. Dikshit Sahab would talk something, and he would enlighten with his ancient history knowledge. So please welcome him, and just ensure that they're not confused as they are generally, right? And you can talk about ancient history, that how it is interesting and important for optional paper, as well as how it would help in general studies. So Dikshit Sahab, you can just go on for the next 10 minutes.
ठीक है.
Right.
So I'll take ancient history, which is obviously a part of GS also. Most important in that, let me tell you, any part of history, question of optionals are easier than question of GS. You can check yourself. GS questions of history are really difficult. And that's why majority of students are scared of it. For example, if you have to see the question of optional, so questions are asked like, what is the importance of economy in the development of Gupta Empire? An organic question. Importance of trade in development of Kushan Empire? Again, an organic question. In GS, they ask question like, in so and so cave, which statue is found? So if you are scared of history because of this, because of these details, where Gandhar is found, where Mathura is found, so GS history is really difficult, which I also agree and which everyone agree. Optional history is the most organic thing, where the common sense question is asked. I don't have the questions to show you. You yourself check. Questions are always asked according to their common sense behavior. If I have to give you the comparison of Bollywood, so GS question of Bollywood are like, who's the director of 1965 movie? That is a GS style. Optional style is to ask you organic question. What is the importance of direction in movie making? What is the importance of marketing in movie making? So first thing I want to burst this myth, and you yourself can understand. Optional is always more organic than general studies. General studies is not an organic topic. Optional is an organic topic, first thing. Second thing, in optional or GS, what my guarantee is, whenever a question will be asked, break the question in points and start the points. For example, a question is asked, Mauryan Empire is culmination of Vedic age political developments. Mauryan Empire is culmination of Vedic age political developments. So nothing. Make a table of Vedic, make a table of Mauryan. Simple tax, not permanent. King elected, empire. No bureaucracy, selected bureaucracy by exams. Just learn to write the bullet points, which is my guarantee you will secure all the marks you could. In GS, in optional, everything. Just the muscle memory. Historiography is the part of history only. जो historiography है, that is, if you will read it organically, so it is part of history. For example, if someone asks you, कि Prime Minister Modi is good or bad Prime Minister, so your analysis itself is according to this channel, this according to Rahul Gandhi, this according to him, this according to BJP supporters, this. Organicness of history is historiography. Historiography is not a separate topic. A separate topic, it's not a separate topic. Views, why Gandhiji ended non-cooperation movement? According to British this, according to Khilafat movement this, according to Congress this, according to socialist this. For reason. Everything has a different point of view. If you ask who's right, Israel or Palestine, everyone has their different views. Historiography is not a separate topic. It is organically inherent in history. Views are historiography. You can see your own society, the views are historiography. And third thing which I guarantee is mapping. That's a personal guarantee. Mapping. Never ever get scared of this. I take around 10 to 11 classes of mapping. Abhi in the old batches, mapping has to start tomorrow or today. So mapping is the personal guarantee. If 20 questions are asked from map, 15 you will answer by look of it. Just by, this is camera. Sorry. Just by look of it. Just by look of it, you can answer 15. It is so easy asked. Questions of historiography are so easy asked. Sorry, mapping are so easy asked, it is common sense. Abhi then for last 2 years, so they started giving the map also. For example, if this is map of India and this is map of Rajasthan, and I ask you a medieval capital, Jaipur, you yourself can tell by this, look at Delhi, 250 kilometers. Chittor, Pune, Tanjavur. Half of the map you can tell just by 15 questions, just by look at it. 5 more will remain. For that, we will have to work hard. So there will be 11 to 12 classes of mapping. Until the time, student, do not tell me, ki stop, enough of this. Then only I stop at the mapping. So answer writing, point form, historiography is the view itself, and third is the mapping. So this personal guarantee I take. This is the points which we will discuss. And if any question, so I'm. Art and culture is included. Art and culture is a history. Art and culture is a part of history. There is no such thing as art and culture. There is no such thing as history. Art and culture is part of history. How? I don't want to make it, but if you will check on YouTube, I think that video is available. Maybe past year optional. So you can see how this is map, Mauryan Empire, and how trade and commerce, and how everything is intermingled. Everything is intermingled. Yet today we are in the age of online. This is not some, I can take this board. All this is technology is part of it. But tackling different schools and concluding answer is sometimes difficult. No, not difficult, not at all. Part of a school, different schools. If you read history separately and then try to read historiography is very difficult. Story itself is historiography. If today I have to narrate you a story about the political parties, so that organic story is historiography. I can't tell that Congress is good or BJP is good. I am a teacher here. If I have to tell you about political parties, so I will say according to this channel, this is. According to some YouTuber, he is right. According to that YouTuber, he is right. According to that channel, he is right. Part of history is historiography. If you will try to read it separately, it's difficult. If you will read as it is historiography. Why historiography? So the best way to revise topic is practicing answer or revising matter from books and again. If you could generate the points, if I ask you, Mauryan Empire is a centralized empire. Step 1, generate points, 8 points. If you could generate points and you could not have right answer, so you need to practice answer writing. If you can't generate 8 points on your tips, so read the book. So every question has to be tested by you. You see the question, generate the bullet points. If you could generate the bullet points, now start practicing answer writing. If you can't generate 2 points and you have to practice answer writing, so that's nothing. Well, फिर तो useless. Sir, my option is electrical engineering. I have qualified UPSC engineering services exam. I want to take history optional course only to improve my knowledge. Only to improve your knowledge, then also फिर तो you will enjoy much more. Once the pressure of exam is taking away, तो enjoyment is million times. ठीक है.
अभय राज सिंह को
क्या
Sir, we have to draw map. Sir, we are very much confused between PSIR and history. वैसे तो answering this is obviously a conflict of interest for me. कि PSIR or history. PSIR I have no guarantee. History I am taking guarantee. PSIR में तो what can I say? बाकी तो ask some astrology. So what makes history optional different from GS history? Like what more it includes? It includes more organicness. For example, same example about political parties in GS, you have to remember the names of parties and names of president. How impossible it is. In optional, stories about them. How from this party that became yahan se wo tooti, all this. So history optional is organic. Those who have taken, you ask them if they have read it right. So you will see it is the core of all the subjects. And obviously, like mathematics is for science side, history is for art side. So if history is the core of the subjects. How to prepare maps for optional? How to prepare method? It's a long topic. I take 12 classes about how can I tell how to prepare maps, but maps mein, generally you will have to have the organic theme-wise map. Theme-wise map you have to prepare. Sir, please share book list for history optional. वैसे तो I don't support a lot of book list. The reason is whatever notes I write in the class, that is enough thick, and it's my promise to student because books are very bulky. अब जैसे उपेंद्र सिंह, if you try to read, no problem you could read. First 300 pages are archaeology. No question is asked. So that is my job. यही हमारा job है. Our job is that, and it's not I don't want to tell history optional book list because there is no great optional book list. There is no great book list. Some historians have some positive, some negative. जैसे उपेंद्र सिंह आर एस शर्मा, they have good control on economy, but they don't have good control on culture. They don't themselves are good in philosophy. For that you have to read some other book, and that is my job. If I have to tell you to read this book, so what is my job? Sir, how to prepare maps. Sir, will history optional classes will be addition of GS classes? History optional addition of GS classes. Addition of GS classes, obviously.
Separate.
Separate. Addition of GS classes. What about spectrum? नहीं, अरे spectrum से much ahead. Spectrum is for GS. So, sir will take care of all of that. Law or history, sir, please suggest, because we have to learn a lot. देखो, if I am telling you, तो my तो is advice history optional. I have not read any other optional. So how could I ask? If you are asking कि human life is better or some other form of life, so I lived only human life. How could I say? Sir, which book should be covered before taking the classes? Nothing. Just sit in the class, absolute. It will be started from absolute zero. Feeling that you know nothing. There is not a student who ever said, yeah, I have this problem or that problem. I don't know anything, no background. Nothing is expected from you. Only attendance is the last thing expected. Attendance. Attend the classes. Can't remember fact. In optional, need not remember the fact. In optional, there is no fact. Believe me, that is a great myth. Facts in GS are 100 times more than optional. GS mein there are all facts. In optional, there is no fact. Not a single date you have to remember. Believe me, in GS polity, you have to remember 2 times more than history optional entire. In polity, you have to remember more. 6 freedoms of Article 19, many students will falter. In optional, they never ask this. In optional, the style of question is ki Mauryan Empire, ya any question could be asked. Ki analyze the difference between Mauryan Empire and Gupta Empire. It is a story which you have by heart. It's like I ask you difference between Congress, BJP. You can tell me 10 difference here only. If a story is clear, you will see from the story, you will answer all the questions. Average score and selection in history optional. I think as competition, it is a fine. I am not a very good on this. Sir, aap agar bata paye.
See, average score in any optional varies from as low as 170, 80 and to 300. For example, this time the highest marks in history optional. In history optional, rank 9, Nausheen got, I think, 309. So, but there would have also been students who would have made to the final list, getting to 30 to 40. They would have done well in GS areas and many would have missed out. So please stop. Let us not try to draw any pattern subject-wise that a subject, say any subject A, B, C and history is more scoring or less scoring. It is based on your input, how you write. One thing that works in advantage of history optional, which sir and others also will say, that it is very much predictable. As sir said, 15 questions. So one thing that everybody talks about about UPSC is that it is very unpredictable, especially after the last year prelims. So in the sea of uncertainty, if you have an optional where maybe you have to go an extra mile, but it is going to be hugely rewarding in GS, but is very much predictable, can be covered in 5.5 months, is based on story, what more do you ask? What more do you ask? The only thing that we expect is that you should have some interest, and rest leave it to us.
And second thing I will say ki the if UPSC have made sure every optional is equally difficult. Optional is small, it is dynamic, competition is much higher. Optional is big, so it is not dynamic. Just by look at a question, you could analyze. I can show you, I don't have that list. I can analyze and I can tell you in last 10 years, same question they repeat time and again. In 2017, they asked, write the district and provincial administration of Gupta Empire. You simply have to write why same thing, empire, Rashtra, Bhukti, Vishay, Vithi.
Also decolonization of Southeast Asia. They have been asking in GS and optional.
So believe me, if you are comparing, just my simple advice is, if you are comparing GS and optional, both are absolutely different. Both are absolutely. GS is like roaming Delhi on metro, and optional is like roaming on your own car. That is much better, much more enjoyable, much more organic. Organic subject is every optional is organic. If you will read geography, mapping of optional and of GS, so GS only confusion. Optional, so you all know how this emerged, what is the background. Sir, is optional all about philosophical perspective. You could call it philosophical, I don't know what exactly it means. Optional is all about connecting the dots, organic story, obvious. Means if Gandhi, Jinnah, Nehru, what they did was obvious for that time. If I place you there, you will also do the same.
There are multiple approaches: philosophical, political, economic, cultural,
Means you
multiple
should
psychological even.
See the logic.
We go into the
common.
psychological aspect also.
Sir जी optional में पढ़ाएंगे सब पढ़ाएंगे sir handouts will get an optional course obviously.
Tariq sir can come and join and answer some of them. Sir,
you will get all the handouts. Yes, Chandrabhan sir is king of philosophy.
Okay, great. So you are loving these history teachers other than their subject. PD sir is king. Already Chandravan Sangh is a philosophy king. Good. So I hope now there is no doubt among you that which option you have to choose, because we have spoken enough that how history is going to help you in GS, essay, and interview, etc. So do not have any doubt. Just join from 20th June. Right, sir? Yeah. Will history optional course be sufficient for prelims exam history? For GS history, you don't have to study. Mr. PD and Chandrabhan sir and me and Rohan sir would tell enough as far as the history of India and world is concerned. So whatever is going to be asked in GS part of prelims in your exam, through optional, of course, you can cover much easier and much better than other candidates.
Someone is asking, sir, will be solving past years? Because I don't want to sound a bit arrogant, but optional batches are going on. Ask those students, they will tell you that by the look of past year papers, you can write on your fingertips. And it's not because I teach or we teach these past year. That is the crux. The best thing in GS, we don't say this, but in GS, predicting a question is near to impossible. Near to impossible. I think the GS paper is not made by history scholar, it is made by some bureaucrat who thinks he is history enthusiast. Who thinks I also know history. So wherever he went in his vacation, he asked about that. Where is Vidisa, where is this, where is that cave? But in optional, it is made by scholars, a standard history, a very theoretical topic.
And in modern part of, general studies, when you cover from 1857 to 1947, in general studies part and optional part, it's almost same. So once you have taken history as an optional paper, so all the parts of your GS part of modern history is automatically covered through your optional paper. So you don't have to do extra work, unlike other subject people would do that.
Tariq sir changed my way of history for many.
Thank you very much to all of you. And Rohan Sahab is being missed, but I hope he would join shortly to take your classes in the live classes as well as online class. One candidate has asked that whether online is good or offline good. That you have to decide. Depends upon. But even if you're taking online, you can come personally once in a month or twice.
Whenever you want.
And we are here available to help you out, etc. But both are nowadays, thanks to technology, are good. But it should be live rather than a recorded part, as you don't want to watch recorded match. So I would suggest you watch us live.
And second thing, the day optional ends doesn't mean it ends.
Yes,
everyone is available for everything. If you can't understand and you ask us to sit in the next batch, that is also whatever you say. Means every student is a student till he is not selected.
Yes, handholding is a very much integral part of our ecosystem, right from the top to all the administrative people and the staff and the faculty. So in fact, sometimes we wonder that after the class, we take more classes. Most of our other faculty are chatting with some students informally in the corridor, in the stairs, and that also helps a lot in developing your thought.
Chalo bhai, thanks a lot.
So thank you, Chandraban Sahab. You can also join us to just say hello to please come and.
So 20 June
Yes.
class will start.
Thank you very much and welcome to
Yes.
all of us in our classes. And as I told, we are 4 people. 3 of us are here, and the 4th gentleman would join also in the classroom. So you all are welcome, and hope to see you in the final list of UPSC in 2025, 26, 27, as we have hundreds of those selected students from Vajiram platform itself, including the rankers.
And all teachers are always available, even whoever you are. ठीक है, ठीक है सर, करिए.
Thank you.
Thank you, I think. Yes.
एडिट कर देना लास्ट वाला